Beginning with the end in mind, we're going to be making these imagination portraits. It's a portrait drawing a face with a little bit of beginning with the end in mind of what you want to be when you grow up. So I want you to start out with the proportions of the face paper, and as you take your sheet of paper, I folded it in half so I know where the middle is at. Using a template of an oval, go ahead and trace around an oval for your face. Now when you begin with your eyes, our eyes are in the middle of the page. Follow the steps of the portrait handout. Again, eyes are in the middle of the page. Now, as I'm going to go ahead and continue drawing on my portrait, I'm going to start thinking and always constantly going back to that handout to start making the places of a portrait in the right spot. The nose is about halfway between the eyes and the chin, and then halfway between the nose and the chin is the mouth. I begin with a straight line, an upper lip, and a lower lip. Now, I'm going to go ahead and begin my ears. Please make sure that your ears aren't too high on the page, and your neck needs to be wide enough that it kind of starts by your ears. Make sure that your neck is wide enough. Lastly, when you begin working on the hair, again, follow the handout because it'll also talk to you about your hair is below the oval for your first hairline. I'm going to go ahead and sketch in the rest of my hair and the rest of my face. Now that I have a pencil drawing of my portrait, I'm going to go ahead and erase the lines that I no longer need. The oval that I used to make the portrait, I'm going to darken in some of the areas that I'd like people to see. And lastly, I wanted to mention when you're drawing your hair, please don't draw every single hairline. You'll notice that it's just an overall shape. Here's what not to do. When you get your sheet of paper and you're folding it in half, just like we did on the first part, I'm going to start out the correct way. I folded my paper, I'm lining up my oval, but one of the big common errors that I start seeing people do is they get their eyes way too high in the paper. Not only do they get their eyes way too high on the paper, but a lot of people will draw their eyes as circular shapes. Inside, you probably have circular shapes for your eyeball, but our eyelid is actually covering up part of it. The right side looks a lot better than the left side. Now that you've got an idea of how to do a portrait, now start using your imagination and creating what you want to be when you grow up. For example, I'm going to make mine the Queen, maybe the Queen of England, the Queen of Muscatine, I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing out my paper and making my image look like a queen. I'm adding on a tiara, and I'm also thinking about how can I change my clothing? What would a queen wear? And so in my pencil, I'm going to go ahead and use the idea sheet to help me get started. But again, utilizing some of my own ideas as well. Maybe a high collar, a necklace, designs onto my poofy shouldered dress. And then also consider your background. You know, once you've got your ideas about what a queen might look like, or maybe you being a softball player or maybe a basketball player, what kinds of things might you put into your background that might help identify with your imagination portrait? So in the background, after I finished my designs onto the portrait to help people understand that I'm the queen, I really felt like I needed to pull this off even more. So I thought about making like a queen's chair, but then when I drew this, it looked kind of like a high collar. So I just went ahead and went with it. And then lastly, again, I'm just going to start making, you know, the background like a castle or maybe some kind of fortress or something that might look like high status of where might be in my background. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my drawing now. Enjoy!